Hello, everyone, and welcome to the final episode of Season 2 of the My Tech Story Africa podcast. My name is Alice Kanjejo, your lovely host, and this has been such a fulfilling season. The season started off strong at Carnegie Mellon University as well as Norsk in East Africa during my travels in Kigali, and we had conversations with people who are not only building but also part of the educational system, what people are doing to empower the next generation of leaders, but also had opportunities throughout the season to talk to investors. So we did manage to cover quite a bit of ground in this season. If you've not tuned into the previous episodes, this is your call to do so after this one, because we will be taking a short break just to rejuvenate and prepare for season 3, which is going to be awesome. We're really planning it, and I am very excited to share that with you, but we are going to take a bit of a break to prepare for that. That being said, just because we're on a break on the podcast doesn't mean we will be on a break on our other major social media platforms. That's on LinkedIn or on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. We are everywhere at My Tech Story Africa and MTS Africa _ on Twitter. So if you keep up with our content, we have a lot more exciting things planned on apart from the podcast content. Call for you to check out our website at mtsafrica.co. We have newsletters that we are officially rolling out as part of the MTS content. So make sure that you register to be part of the MTS community, and you'll be getting first-hand information about what's happening in tech across Africa, as well as what's happening at MTS. And finally, make sure you subscribe from wherever you're listening from, especially on YouTube. We are on the road to 5K subscribers. So by the time I come back onto this mic in season 3, we need to be at 5K. We can do it, and it all starts with you. If you're listening, please subscribe wherever you're listening from. You can also check out MTS on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any of the major social media platforms. That being said, let's get into the guest of the day. Today's guest is Rhoda King'ori, who takes us through the evolution of Zidi, a tech venture platform that started in 2016, which enables you to unlock transformative growth for your business with their premier digital training solution designed for the African workforce. She also recounts key milestones from winning the Standard Chartered IBiz Women's Pitch Competition to meeting the president. She also speaks to the intricacies of managing a startup, from recruitment and operations to the ever-evolving roles within a dynamic environment. Our conversation also explores the profound impact of adaptability on her life.
When something gets thrown your way, don't feel like, oh my God, that's not what I do. I can't do it. Is start scrappy, start dirty, learn as you're doing it, and don't feel ashamed to not know, because that curiosity and openness to learning is tied so closely with adaptability.
Her passion for contributing to the African tech ecosystem beams through the entire episode as she aims to empower startups, offer mentorship, and eventually become an investor herself. Her future vision involves leveraging AI for knowledge management in business and fostering a culture of African founders becoming investors themselves. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I enjoyed having Roda, a good friend of mine, on this platform. That being said, let's get into the episode. Thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode. I am very excited to have the guests that we have today on the platform. As you've heard already, we have Roda with us today, and I will give her the opportunity to introduce herself.
All right, so many things. Who am I? So I'm Rhoda King'ori. I am several things. So one is I love people. I deeply love people and engaging with people, and I deeply love technology. And my passion is bringing the two together to just create amazing things. So
Are you reading a description of My Tech Story Africa?
Oh, really? Is that it? I feel like we're just so in tune. I feel like this is happening.
This is good.
So I am co-founder and COO of Zidi, and we basically are empowering African businesses to upskill and train their teams on key soft skills and do this digitally. And I am also a podcast host. I love to sing. I am vibrant like the colors I'm wearing today.
Yes.
That's pretty much it in a nutshell. And I love nature. I love animals. I love food deeply. It's like a love language.
We can feel the passion in your voice.
Yes. So that's basically me in a nutshell.
I love that.
Yep.
And thank you so much for agreeing to share your story with our audience. Mm-hmm. And I guess this is now time for us to get into that.
Let's get into it.
Rhoda, tell us where your story began. Where did you have an interest in tech? Is this something you always wanted to do, or as a child did you envision something different?
Hey, let me tell you. So I say my tech story is like a love story. It found me, I didn't find it. So I thought, honestly, I never knew what I wanted to be when I was growing up. I'm good with people. So it was either I'm going to be speaking in one way or form, or diplomat.
Are you me? Are we
twins?
You're basically my twin.
Really? Yeah. So I went to campus. I did international relations. I was like, United Nations.
Before you even get to that.
Yeah.
So when you mentioned that before you did international relations, you didn't really know what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what even led you to deciding that we're doing international relations in the first place?
Actually, do I even know? So for me, it was either, it was, okay, you're going to do law, you're going to be a lawyer. Actually, it was you're going to be a lawyer, or you're going to do something where you're going to meet different people and be in different spaces.
Just needed to have people.
Yeah. And then I think I came across, because my sister did international relations. And I think I came across the brochure and I was like, I'm like, it's not bad. It's not sounding bad.
There was no pressure from your parents to
nothing.
Figure things out.
People say it's like a last born thing, but I don't know where. But it's my parents, I think for everybody across board, it was never, this is what you need to be. There's never any of that. It was, you just study and you do well.
What are you in school?
What are you in school? And you're doing well and you have good values and you're a good person. Honestly, like the rest is pretty open. So I saw international relations. I was like, okay, this is nice. I like this. So I did that in USIU. But now, I realize my thought process around education is very different. So I say, if my child wants to do like a specific, like random, like university degree on, I don't know, like the history of music or something like that, I'm like, go for it. Because university is basically just teaching you how to have the critical thinking skills. And you're growing up through that process and learning how to engage with the world. When you come out, when you come out is now the world, you figure out, what am I supposed to do? So if you're lucky enough, you might know that earlier on and track your path. If you're not, that's a process for you figuring out what you need to do. Then you get into the world and you find things. Most of the people I meet it's either you did one thing in university, but you're doing something wildly different. So our content team, our head of content, he is the most creative, like his brain works in very different ways. He did food science.
He did food science.
Yes.
Actually, just a point to note, we do work in the same co-working space. Where we record this. So I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So it's like, that's why even when we recruit at Zidi, I think I look at CVs last just so I can ask you questions. It's not based on what you did in terms of education. It's based on the skills you have and the attitude you have. That's it.
What gave you that transformation? Because what you're saying is completely opposite than what the African culture, quote unquote, pushes for, which is you need to settle or do a degree that's substantial or this and that. Substantial is subjective, of course, but I'm interested to know what even gave you that shift in your thinking of, okay, you know what, degree is this, and it's okay for you to do something that is sort of okay that...
So I think it was the journey that I've been on and discovering tech, because I did IR, right? Thinking I'm going to be a diplomat. And then you go out there looking for jobs. First of all, UN. What hiring criteria do you guys use? So you start applying for jobs and all of that. And I think the closest thing I found was a social enterprise. So that's Jibebe, the first place I worked. It was for upskilling the youth. I was like, okay, it's kind of there. It's kind of there.
Was this, sorry for interrupting you, but was this after you finished your degree?
After I finished my degree.
And how did you get this opportunity after tarmacking?
Actually, did I tarmac? I don't think I did. So I've always been very proactive. So right after graduation, I started applying. So graduation was in August. So September, October it's at the tarmacking period. I'm just enjoying no classes period. So you're applying for different jobs, different positions, you're doing like UN, all these different things. I don't know if it was Brighter Monday or one of those sites where I saw I saw the description and that's what got me, because it was so vibrant. It was like, what is your personality type? Do you love this? Do you love, like personal development? I was like, I like all those things. And it's social enterprise, which is not too far when you're doing international relations and diplomacy and whatnot. So I was like, let me apply. I was like, because I all these things I do. So I applied. It was for an internship position. And then I got it. It was supposed to start in December, but started in January. So January, right after, 2 months after graduation.
Okay, that's not too long waiting for a job opportunity.
Yeah.
I think, could you just describe what you mean by social
enterprise? All right, so social enterprise is basically an organization that, yes, you are for profit, but you are focused on social impact, right? So how is it impacting society, specific groups of people? That's what social enterprises are. Yeah.
Got it. And so now you're in this job. How was that like, once you got in there?
Got in, and this is where I met Joyce. Joyce is founder of Zidi. So I got in internship. I think I was intern for 3 months, and then after I was project coordinator. So I got in. It was completely new. Like, you learn things in university, but for truth, it's not like you're going to pick specific items. It's like the way people did logs in high school, and then when have you used logs? So came in, it's completely new. So now you're learning that this whole world of training and personal development and how this is impacting people's lives, people's careers. Get into the world of like training programs. Now you're organizing training programs. And then because now you've entered, it's not like a big organization. You're doing social media. You're doing this.
You're hired for one role, but you're everything.
Of course. You do a whole bunch of different things. And then this is when like random things like, oh, maybe we should create a game. So I'd go online and find, okay, there's a product that can help you create games. And then I go through a process and actually try and create a game. And I was like, it's not like difficult. So it's not pulling teeth.
That's where it started.
Yeah. So I'm like, I'm doing these things. And I'm like, people are like, what? I'm like, you just get on and you figure it out and you just start creating things. And then after working for a bit, it wasn't too long, I think it was maybe 1.5 years, the idea for Zidi came up. And the next thing I knew, because we tried to find local developers, because this was years ago, this was like 2017. So trying to find developers with this idea that we have that people should be able to access soft like trainings, pay like on mobile money, like a Udemy, but for Africa. And it was just not landing. We're like, what is this? So we went on, what do you call that place you get people online? Anyway, I've forgotten. Anyway, so we went
Instagram?
online. No. No, the freelancers. Upwork. We went on Upwork and we found a company, an Indian company that they were like, oh, we get it. Like we've done this in China and whatnot. We can build this for you.
Before you go too far,
Yeah.
I'm noticing that now you found this shift and you discovered Zidi and what this concept is, and it's the startup that you're currently involved in with.
Yeah.
So when you say we, who is this person that you met and decided to come together and do this idea?
Yeah.
Where did that idea even come from? You were working on this social enterprise. You start playing around with things. When did you really start thinking this could be something?
Okay. So the person is Joyce Mbaya. Link will be added, or profile or whatever. So she's a founder of Jibebe, and it was pulled from a book because she's also an author. So that's when we met, and I kid you not, to this day. So we are the same personality. She's just slightly older, but the exact same personality. So I'm an ENFJA. If you've not done a personality test, go to 16 personalities and do it very accurate. And it was just like, almost like a mirror reflection of, and you'd think that would clash, but it really worked well. So as we were working, so what you're doing is you're doing a lot of trainings. So people want you to be in a room, they want you to train their people, but you can only be so many places at the same time. And that's where the idea for Zidi came up. Initially, it was like a Jibebe online thing where, how about we take the trainings that we have, put them online so that you're not held captive to being in a specific physical location. And then that's how you realize sometimes you come up with an idea for yourself and you find that an idea is larger because now you have all these experts and trainers, African experts and trainers. They're excellent at what they do, but it's all done physically. So if I'm in Rwanda, for example, and I want access to this amazing training, I can't be flying people to Kenya or flying them to Rwanda consistently.
And at that time, working, this virtual thing was not...
It was not even...
It's not in the
This
radar.
is a sexy time we're living in. Guys, it's a sexy time. It was not this sexy. It was like pulling teeth to help people understand the concept of it saves you time, it saves you money, and you get access to expertise that would otherwise be really hard for you to get access to. So yeah, that's like where the whole concept started building from. So initially we started thinking, how about it's like a Udemy for Africa? It's not just linked to businesses, it's linked to individuals. So we had things like parenting and family, like how to wean your baby, sleep training for baby and mama.
The
and
contrast.
then yes, the contrast. So it was a whole marketplace. We had our first influencer trainer was Chef Raphael, and he was like, I have 400,000 people on Facebook, and how can I monetize this? And I'm like, yeah, put the course on Zidi, and let's see how it does. In fact, let's experiment with maybe your YouTube videos, take them, cut them up, put them on, and run like a quick demo just in 2 weeks and see if people will be interested. We launched 1,000 people registered.
Wow.
And we're like, yeah.
That's affirming.
This is a thing.
This is a thing.
So we just continued building up on that content.
Sorry, which year was this?
This is now 2018, heading towards 2019. So 2017 is when the product was being built. Yeah, so that's when all of a sudden I'm doing software requirement documents with people in India. And I'm like, hey, what world is this?
This is insane.
It's crazy.
This little idea that I had is now you're reaching out to people in different countries to help you figure things out.
Yeah, so did that, software requirements, and then I was like, okay, this is how now the things that I do and I don't realize I do it so seamlessly is I understand technology. So I always say it's like the human translation of it. So it's like, this is how it should work. If this should work, this is how the system and the processes should work. Like you enter through here, you go through this, you do this, and then you get this at the end.
So now you're kind of becoming like a product person.
Exactly. Because you're building the product from bottom up, and you're two people. In fact, it was Joyce and me. So it's not like you have
Was she technical?
team. Joyce is technical, but it's an interesting combo because she did, what do you call it? She did something computer science. She did computer science in university. But then you meet her and she loves training and empowerment. This is fully her passion. So it was bringing the two together and that really worked. And mind you, me, I'm fresh. I'm fresh from campus. I've just worked for a period of time. I'm just doing what I need to do.
Yeah.
And then now that's when you start realizing the power behind this and you start buying into this vision that when people have knowledge, even something that seems really simple to you can radically change somebody's life. And just what that can do for individuals and organizations and just the whole world in total, basically.
Yeah, and I 100% agree when you say that, because I do feel in whatever way that you find something that maybe you're somewhat passionate about, whether for Joyce's example, it was about empowerment and training and so on and so forth. And even if you don't have the technical skills, but you have that vision to build this thing, whatever gifts that you have, how can I implement that? So for me, I would like to relate it to me in the sense that I am not a technical person myself. In fact, I did communications, podcasting, speaking. I also knew that I loved talking to people and, just if you just envision a marketing girly,
that's you.
That is me. But then I started having this passion for tech and now having that dissonance of, I really like this thing, but I'm not technical. How can I make my own impact? And that's how MTS came to life. And that's why we have this podcast, because even if I'm not having the technical impact, I do feel that the stories that we do share and what we're building is something that does make an impact in some ways, in a ways that is relatable to me. Yeah. So 100% agree with that. Yeah. And back to this conversation that we were having, would you say that now at this time when now you're starting to do this Zidi thing, did it now start feeling like, okay, were you comfortable basically the whole time? Are you starting to feel this is what I want to do? Or were you also just having something at the back of your mind, okay, maybe I should explore other things?
No, actually, I think what do you call it? Very focused, like hyper focused. So when we're doing Zidi, I think the thing that is important for people to note is when the idea for Zidi started and we're working really closely with Joyce, we also got like a technical partner just so that they can check that things are viable.
Yeah.
Is I was like employee number one. So I am now COO with the title of co-founder, but I didn't start that way. I just knew that I need to get stuff done and this is what we need to do and this is where we're going and I really love what we're doing and let's turn it together.
Let's go.
Right? But I think it was really wonderful for my soul because I realized I love this thing of creating something from nothing to something. It's fantastic. So for me, it was always, even if it's just this whole startup space, this whole process of innovation creation, speed, things shifting, you never do the same thing twice. And you're being thrown into rooms, so you're really young, you're a young woman. It's like female founded. And you're being thrown into rooms where you're having conversations with CEOs, COOs, people who are 20 years older than you. And if I was in corporate, it would have probably taken me, I don't know, like 10 years or so to find myself even sniffing those rooms.
100%.
Right? But you're growing and startup is so vibrant and you're learning everything. It's like you start figuring out, oh, this is how we recruit a team, right? So these are the processes that work for us. Okay, now that the team is here, how do you manage this team? How does product look like? Okay, now you have to start thinking about strategy, then operations. Oh my God, now sales. Oh, partnerships. And you're figuring this out as you're going because you don't have like millions of shillings to start hiring people. No, you don't.
You start even thinking, where's this money coming from?
Yeah. So
speaking of which, where did
the money
start
let me tell
from?
you, just to tell you, Zidi took her blood, sweat, tears, and her car. Right?
Her car.
So I'm like, I'm fresh off campus. There's no resources to give me. It's my time.
I ain't got nothing.
So it was sweat equity. You know, it's sweat equity. It's you're focusing 110% on this thing. And as you're growing, you do know that if you were to shift somewhere else, you'd probably earn like 5 times more.
Yes.
But you're really passionate. Like I was really passionate about what we're doing. And you're earning enough so that you eat and you're alive, you know?
Just
it's
enough
passion.
to keep you
It's
breathing.
passion and vision that's keeping you going.
And even at this time,
Yeah.
did you have people start questioning why, that passion over financial stability?
Oh, yeah. It was. So it wouldn't be as outright, but when you're having conversations, I think it would be like family and friends were like, oh my God, like you have all these things, all this experience, expertise under your belt. Oh my God, like you could be doing.
Maybe you should try.
You could be doing, are you looking? I'm like, yeah. I mean, but I deeply love what I do. And I loved working with Joyce. Because I'd enter rooms with my friends, we've all just started working and things. And they're having conversations about their bosses and like the horrors. And I'm just there like, I ain't got nothing to say. I'm like, I'm good. I'm fine. I'm okay. Like, I love what I do. I love working with Joyce. So we basically progressed to now in 2019. So 2018, 2017, we're building product. 2018, we launched at some point in 2018 with Chef Raphael, whatnot. And then towards the end of the year, we have no idea about raising. Startup world is vibrant now. You know nothing. You're just doing what you gotta do. And then we entered the Standard Chartered Women in Tech with IBiz. And we were one of the 5 organizations that won, 5 startups that won.
Oh, wow. First, could you just tell us briefly about that? Do they still do that? I didn't know
They
about
still do.
that.
In fact, I think they're on like the 8th cohort or something. We were the first.
Wow.
So we still go for a lot of the events and like, wow, look at you guys. This is where we came from.
Please plug the women.
Oh my gosh. It's the Women in Tech. So the Standard Chartered Women in Tech and IBiz. It's a program. So we registered for that. We entered. We got through. And for the first time ever, like when we won, Have you ever held $1 million shillings check in your hands? We were like, 1 million. And we're like, oh my God, 1 million. And at that point, now the team is like 4 people. So it's 1 content person, 1 technical person, me and Joyce.
Was the money a grant or was it?
It was a grant. So it wasn't
Wow.
equity. It was grant based.
Wow.
And then you also get office space, free office space for like a year. So we're like, yeah, thanks.
Wow. That was a huge milestone.
It was. And also being in spaces, because this is the first thing they've done. So all exhibitions, we'd be in all spaces, even through them. Now, when Uhuru Kenyatta was president, we're like, oh, we got to meet the president, and he talked about Zidi and handshook. I was like, hey, cool. This is pretty cool.
This is cool. Guys, I've been telling you guys that what I'm building is something cool.
Yeah.
And now here you are meeting the president and getting your 1 million grant.
Yeah, so we got the 1 million grant. President was after. Yeah.
Okay.
That was like you earn your stripes. You earn your stripes to show up in spaces where he's there and you can meet him. So we did that. And this is now 2018 heading towards 2019. Right? And we're still on B2C. So B2C is business to customer. So a person can come, buy a course and have access to that course. And then this is where we got our first B2B client in 2019. Went for an event, Candid Women event. And then we met the head of policy for Uber. And she said, I love, like, what you're doing is great. We have this whole vision for future of work and there's one for learning. And we have no idea how to implement it. Like, let's have a conversation. That was the quickest, I think, B2B deal we've closed. It took a month. And we closed it. And what they basically wanted was for us to convert content like from drivers, just personal development stuff, like how do you manage your finances, how do you be the best at customer experience, but it's not Uber related, it's actual Uber drivers with high ratings telling you about their journeys and their stories. And we rolled it out and 5,000 drivers were engaging with our content and learning and giving feedback and rating. Those guys could rate. I think it's because they were being rated also. And that was our first B2B, and we realized, oh wait, so we can go through a process of having a conversation with a business who has a need and they have employees who are the end users anyway that we're targeting, and we can make revenue from that. So we started looking at, maybe we should shift to B2B. And so in end of 2019, it started with Uber. We worked with them for 3 years. And then 2020, COVID happened. You would think that COVID has happened, so everybody's going to run online.
Of course is.
But there was, I think the period of fear was about 3 months into COVID where everything was frozen. So nothing was moving. There was no money. Even individuals are not purchasing courses, other than the parenting and parenting ones, because,
constant.
It's ngumu. It's hard out here.
Parenting, come COVID, come health.
So that was the thing. Yeah, so it came, and then we now started thinking, okay, let's have more of these business-to-business conversations. And because we were part of the ecosystem already, because of winning like the Women in Tech, we started getting people who said, we need to do digital programs. We have no channels to do this. Can we do this? So I worked with ASEC for businesses to train and learn specific skills to help them survive during COVID. And that was digital. And we just kept going like that. And we realized, okay, clearly B2B is the way to go.
B2B is the way. B2C is arguably one of the hardest kind of products to have. Like everyday consumers, it's very expensive.
So expensive.
And even just to get people to grab people's attention, you need extra effort for the marketing and just that extra push compared to B2B, where it only takes, like you said, it just takes one conversation with someone who's probably has a problem that you can solve. But B2C, it's not just one person with a problem. It's like everybody, you're trying to solve everybody's problems. But for an organization, I would say let me not say most products because I've not really done the research, but I would say that most of the B2B startups that I know, it's a significant margin profit-wise compared to B2C, because it does take time for you to get the clients to actually want to involve with your product.
It's a black hole. It's like, what do you call it? Catch-22, where you need money to acquire customers. You need to market to the B2C audience. To get the money that you need to put into the marketing. So it's like...
and then you need the customers.
Chicken, egg. So that's why it can be very expensive and very difficult to bootstrap as well. So we just progressed from there. I'm just continuing to grow. So now we're recruiting more people. Now you start managing a team of like 2 people, then 4 people. And I am fully in ops. So operations, so I realized, yes, I love the technology, but I'm not building, I'm not coding. I will learn one day. Time is still there. So I'm not coding, but it's translating what do we require on the ground in terms of like the human element and customers, and then translating that and helping the team understand. And then following through the process of keeping them motivated and understanding that they're creating for end users. So you're doing product, you're doing HR, you're doing recruitment, you're doing day-to-day management. And that's now how the whole title of operation settled. Because in startup, you never really know what you are.
Like, okay, what's
you're doing
this?
You're doing.
My title has also changed where I work. I work for Honeycoin, which is also a Kenyan startup. And I came in as a social media manager, and then you start playing the field, and it's like, okay, maybe it's content. Then now I do PR and content. Which I think now I'm settling in.
It will keep evolving as the need arises and as your skills grow. There's a time I was business development manager, like project manager, business development manager, it kept evolving, but the things that you're doing are still the same. And that's basically is what is the vision and how do you get that vision translated in reality on the ground? So it's people, technology, and resources. And you bring those things together and just help them work. Like make sure the wheels are turning. What are the processes? What are the structures? So it was like my feet are in like the best worlds and I'm really, really enjoying. And that's how it was like, oh, actually, this is the operations world where I'm like, what do you need? So to this day, when I'm having conversations with people, they tell me, I want to do this. And my mind automatically goes to, ha. So to do this, you need to do ha, 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 ha. I'm like, I already have a plan. But so that's...
But some people, sorry for interrupting you, some people argue that in a startup world, someone who doesn't really have a very specific kind of role, people tend to, like management kind of roles, people see it as a burden than someone
as a luxury.
As a luxury.
Yeah, it can be. So it depends. So sometimes you'll get startup where you've gotten like those miraculous ones, the ones of I had my idea and then I raised on just the idea and I got $1 million, right? And then now I'm told, wow, I need, this whole team and all of those things, versus almost like an organic growth where there are really critical roles that you're doing. It's not held down to one specific title, right? So we have like Joyce is CEO, I'm COO, which is like operations, and that holds everything under team, and product in terms of like the content, the instructor management, the customer experience, all of those things. CEO office sits with the, the strategy, strategies across board, but the vision and managing investors, as well as now holding down the fort in terms of like finance and reporting. Right? And then now everything else has to fall under operations because it's like, how are you running your business? So if it's organic, I'll say it's like you might start off with your CCO, like your commercial person and your technical person, who are still going to be doing the operational roles. You don't necessarily have to hire an operational person until you've grown to a certain point. But if you've just been there and you're in operations and you're continuing doing all these different roles at the same time. That doesn't sound different roles at the same time. It's like an organic growth thing. So I always say businesses are so different. What might work for us might not work for someone else. Startups are like the DNA is radically different for each startup. You might have some where your most critical asset is just the technology bit until now you start going into growth. Then you need like a person for growth. And then as you're growing, then now you need to put in the systems and structures around how do you operate so that you're sustainable and effective as you're progressing. So it's depends on where you are in the business and the DNA of your business and what is required. Yeah, so I'm like, let nobody tell you. If you know deep in your gut what is needed, and even if you have investors, is find the balance of standing your ground, because there'll always be a push. It just never ends.
It just never ends.
Yeah, it's a consistent
You just
thing.
need to keep evolving with the changing times.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess as we wrap up this conversation, I want to know now where you are now as Zidi and with yourself. Would you say that you're settled and you are where you think you are meant to be?
Yeah.
And what is the vision that we have now as, again, Zidi evolves? You know, you started as just training and, you know, motherhood courses, and now you've shifted to a B2B kind of model. And so, tell us a bit more about where you guys are standing.
All right. Oh, so before that, I always forget. I don't know why I work my memory of it. And I really enjoyed it. Anyway, so when we started doing Zidi, because I wanted to do masters. So this is the irony of me now. My mindset changed after even doing masters. Okay. And I was like, I'm not doing strategic management. I'm not doing any of this. And then I saw a course for Global Sustainable Social Enterprise, which is basically, it's just a long phrase for saying growing a startup into a fully functioning corporate organization.
Really?
That's all it is. So it was like, you're doing Zidi and there's stuff that you're learning about the business model, canvas, the customer validation, the whatnot, ideation, a lot of group activities around that. So I got my MBA as we're going through the process of doing that.
Wow, how was that balance?
Yo, guys, let me tell you, God gives you grace in seasons that you look back, you're like, I could not do it now. I couldn't. Because at that time, I was living in Kikuyu, USIU is on Thika Road.
Wow.
So on the day I have class and work, I would take 8 matatus and Andudhi in one day. And I do
8 matatus is crazy.
3 times, 3 times a week for 1.5 years. Wow. And I don't know how I did it. I can't, like, you ask me now, I'll be like, Inezaka, it can stir. It's never that serious.
It's never that serious.
Nope.
That is a lot.
Yeah. So it was so intense. And I just think about it now, I'm like, wow. Like, that's crazy. So
it also just shows you the strength that you have as a human being, you know? Like, you think there's, like Elu did say, there's no limitations. You think that you couldn't do something, but when you need to do it and you want to do it, you're going to do it.
You gotta do it. Yeah.
Wow.
So, okay. So moving on to what now, right? Even for me in terms of my tech story. So I think it's been fantastic that technology found me and discovered, oh, we're compatible. And now we're doing a really cool thing. We're empowering Africans, African businesses, all of that. So as it is evolving, there's stuff that we're doing that's fun around AI. Guys, people are slapping AI and everything, but we actually have a legitimate case study for it. And we're like, things we were discussing and we think would take maybe 2-3 years are now a reality. And we're like, oh, we're like, oh my God, we can't wait to get into this around just knowledge management for businesses to be able to convert internal knowledge into like learning content that can reach their people on the job training, and you're leveraging AI for that.
How do you leverage AI on that?
So for example, let's say Honeycoin, like you have your SOPs, your processes, your whatnot, your products, information, all of that. This is now theory. You load it onto Zidi, right? Whether it's PDF, PowerPoints, documents, whatever it is. And the AI digs through all of that content, right? And then it's now for your team is you can either decide, I want to generate micro lessons on specific things. And it generates for you video, audio, text, whatever it is. Or you can decide to go to the next level where it's on the job learning, where you put a plugin onto your computer and it's based on like, I'm writing an email and it's like, there's a specific way we do it. You've been stuck on the email, you're deleting, it says, oh, do you need help? Sure. This is the theme of the tone that we
use as a company.
How about you try this? And you're learning on the job and it's curated, it's customized. Now think language.
That is actually really cool.
Yeah, Francophone speaking Africa, which apparently, it's just slightly more than English speaking Africa in terms of percentage. Or like you can even go deeper to, I have guys in Mombasa Kiswahili or guys in Meru who speak Meru. and the content
take
is
all
being
that.
generated in like Kimeru, and I'm learning on the job, and it's based on our SOPs that nobody reads, and how you do things. So that's where it's going. And now there's the technology to do that.
There is.
And you play around with that. So yeah, it's super exciting for Zidi, and I think the world of technology in general. And that excites me. So what would I be doing in a period of time where what I do for Zidi, I think my biggest passion around technology is figuring out a way to do that or share my knowledge and impact other startups across board. So whether that means going into the venture world or capacity building or entrepreneur support organizations, where now everything we've gone through blood, sweat, tears, breaking bones, starvations. Like it has been so grueling. But through that, we've learned so much. And just being able to share that and impact that across board. And not just for Zidi, but other startups in the ecosystem. And then long term, being able to finance those startups as well. Because I think founders should be investors.
Founders should be investors.
They should be investors because they understand the on-the-ground realities. That sometimes a corporate investor with the best of, they have the best of intentions, but you're coming from corporate or finance, and you're trying to apply the same understanding and principles, especially in a market that is so diverse and so different than Silicon Valley. So yeah, that's passion.
I love that, especially, African founders. I do strongly believe that's why this is my Tech Story Africa, and Africans building other Africans. And when you say that, I think nobody will understand first how best to invest or which companies to invest in, do the vision, what to look out for, what not to look out for, as someone who has been experienced being a founder.
Yeah.
Especially a founder in Africa, if you're looking to invest in Africa. And I really do hope that, and see that that is the future of tech in Africa. People, this startup environment, especially Nairobi, how it's growing. First of all, Nairobi is the biggest, if not one of the biggest tech hubs across Africa. And so once we get that, we are already there, but once we get even that exponential growth, then we're able to invest back into our country. And you know what? That consequently leads to economical growth.
It does.
Overall in the country. So
really
I'm really excited to see what the future of tech holds for us.
So exciting. Such a good time to be in
Such
now.
a good time to be in tech.
It's a good time. I'm like, but be fearless and audacious in what you dream and envision for whatever idea that you have to impact, like whether it's technology or even just general business. Because this is the time to do it. We've never lived in a time where you have so much access to knowledge. Hata ChatGPT nakusaidia. You can go and just type something and you get excellent
Although these days
information.
people can tell a ChatGPT, right?
There's a ChatGPT tone. I don't know, and everybody knows that tone now.
Everybody knows it.
You can see it.
Immediately clock
recognize.
it. Yeah. So now I guess we need to start going back to...
No, we've always said it's not supposed to replace. It's supposed to elevate and make things easier.
So anyway, hack for those who... I would use ChatGPT, and then I go to Killbot for it to paraphrase for me what ChatGPT wrote for me.
See? So that's the thing. The people who are saying, AI is going to take... it will. It will also create. But yeah.
Actually, I was listening to a podcast, the Morning Daily, something. I've forgotten what it's called. And they were actually having the discussion about this. That first concern of AI replacing people's jobs. Well, it actually has.
Yeah, it will.
Significant number of people replace their jobs. But it's not going to be as quick as we expected it to be because, like you said, first of all, it's very expensive to implement AI models.
Yeah.
So it replacing people, they was just saying how you'd rather just get someone to do it because it's going to be way more expensive to build AI technology to help you do what you want to do. And two, there are limitations to AI. Like we've started seeing ChatGPT tone is very ChatGPT. I don't know if Bard is the same thing. Bard is the ChatGPT version of Google. But yeah, so we can be safe for a bit of time. We have time for us to not feel like AI is going to replace people's jobs.
I'm like, well, it's going to be inevitable. It's like the way during the Industrial Revolution, all these factory workers will lose their jobs, which happened. but whole economies open up and different skills are required. So actually more jobs are created to replace the jobs that were taken away. So that's the thing with, if you feel like you're going to be obsolete, learn a new skill that is needed.
Yes.
Get in there. Like,
you need to evolve.
you need
with
to
the
evolve.
times. Actually, there's a job. I've been helping my friend out trying to get job applications, and right now, in marketing, especially the job applications, you see roles of someone who, what is it? Basically, the role entails you being able to give prompts to AI technology.
Yep.
So that, and you get paid for that. How skilled are you with this thing? How do you speak to AI or technology to do what you want it to do? And full-time job, and
paying
very
good money.
necessary. So now I'm thinking my prompts need to be A1.
Yeah.
I need to, what's going on? We're doing this now. I need to be there.
Yeah.
You need to know how to build a website.
I
need to be there. So yeah, you need to evolve with the changing times, or you'll get fired.
You'll get fired. Like, who would have thunk? You know, like TikTok. Like, people are making millions, full-on careers. TikTok,
full-on
Instagram.
careers. You're hired specifically just for TikTok.
I'm like, the world has so many things that you can get hired for now. So it's just, I think, don't put yourself in a box.
Don't put yourself in a box.
Don't put yourself in a box.
It can be limiting.
It can be limiting. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I have absolutely loved this conversation. Before we close off, I'm going to ask you some questions that I ask all my guests as we close off each of their episodes. And the first one that I have for you is, what's one word to describe the journey to get to where you are today, and why?
Wow. Oh my God. And you had asked me this. Okay, so one word. Lord. I know the word, but it's gone. Wait. What is the other word for flexibility? Not like
Adaptability.
Adaptability. That's the word. Adaptability is a word. Actually, just for life, you'll just disappear if you don't adapt. So that's the thing of, when something gets thrown your way, don't feel like, oh my God, that's not what I do. I can't do it. Is start scrappy, start dirty. Learn as you're doing it, and don't feel ashamed to not know, because that curiosity and openness to learning is tied so closely with adaptability. Yeah, so I'd say that's the one keyword. Yeah.
I like that word. And I think it's translated into your whole story in general.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the second question I have for you is, do you have any regrets or things you wish you did differently?
Do I?
Do you feel that, sorry.
I'm from a different school of thought. Where maybe it's just me, or maybe I'm in an abundance mentality right now. But actually, all my life has always been, I'm supposed to be doing what I'm supposed to be doing when I'm supposed to be doing it. So, you know, the people tell you, like, would you take $10 million or go back to your past? And I'd take the $1 million and not go back. It's either go back or take $10 million today. I'm like, man, the $1 million, that's what I'm going to take, because everything that has gone through in the experiences have led to who I am right now. So I can't negate things, whether they were painful or wonderful or challenging, because it's all been a part of the story that's knitting me into who I am today. So in terms of regrets, that's why I don't live in the school of thought of regrets. Because all that does is, like, it holds you back, where you're looking back when you should be looking forward, right? You should be in the present and looking forward and not behind. Yeah, so I would say that's why I honestly don't feel like I have regrets of the journey and the process that I've gone through so far.
Wow.
Yeah.
And sorry, I'm just processing what you've just said. That was impactful, to say the least. And now, to close off, please leave us with a powerful party shot. How do you want to close off this episode?
Wow. So many things. The whole thing has not been powerful. It's okay. All right. So something to close it off is take chances. Don't feel like you need to be qualified to try. I think people really get held
Qualified
back.
to try.
That I need to have this. I need to have gone through software engineering or something to do technology. You don't. For example, I need to have done like content creation, so I can get into it. You don't.
You don't.
A lot of people I meet even now in finance and investing, they're like, nothing. I did nothing around that. But I was passionate and I learned. I tried. And that's where it led me to. So be fearless, take chances. Yeah, and you don't have to be qualified to try.
You don't have to be qualified to try.
Do it.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Wow. And you did end the episode in a powerful parting shot.
Yo.
Thank you so much, Roda, for gracing us with your presence on this
Thank you,
podcast.
Alice.
Absolutely enjoyed the story.
Great.
I wish you nothing but the absolute best as you guys are building at Zidi for your personal growth and development. And I am just very excited to see how this AI integration is going to work for you in the long run. And yeah, we'll be sure to check back a year from now.
Yo, I'm gonna be ready. I feel like I'll be doing something radically different. I'll be like, so since we last spoke,
here's what happened.
this is what happened.
Yeah, no, we would love to go back and see the journey from what that transformation is going to be.
Great.
So, yes, for you who's listening, thank you so much for tuning into this episode. Just a reminder for you to follow us on social media platforms at My Tech Story Africa everywhere, MTS Africa _ on Twitter. Check out our website at mtsafrica.co. We have some cool stuff in there. We are constantly adapting and evolving our platforms and the super amazing things that we've been trying to post on our social media platforms as well. So engage with us, leave a comment from wherever you're tuning in from, whether that's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any of your favorite listening platforms. Please be sure to subscribe. Guys, how can I not acknowledge the growth that we've been having? Absolutely affirming that the stories that we're sharing here are transformational, that are impactful. And thank you so much to everyone who's been rocking with us since we started about 6 months ago. Depending on, remove that 6 months ago because I don't know when this episode is going to go out, since we started. And from the bottom of my heart, I am absolutely thankful. I'm Alice Kanjejo, your lovely host, and I'll see you in the next episode. Hey guys, back here again just to wrap up this season and give credit where it's due for the fantastic season that we've had so far. A huge thank you, first of all, to our audience for reaching this far, for our subscribers, for everybody who's taken the time to engage with MTS Africa. Huge thank you to the team, Gideon Gadungu, who's always behind the camera and behind all this production that you're seeing here today and throughout the season. Nimara Newa, who is our brand strategist. Thank you so much for the contributions you've given us. Our content writer, Fiona Maingi. Thank you to the MTS team. A huge thank you to the CMU team, especially Monica Sumbi, as well as Nick, for helping me out while I was in Kigali. Sharon Mashira, a huge shout out to you as well. A special thank you to all the guests who made this season possible, that cuts across CMU, Norscan East Africa, Antler East Africa, Moringa School, Palan Project, and every other person who was a guest on this platform. Huge thank you to everyone. That being said, I shall see you guys in a couple of weeks. Thank you for tuning in.